Starting this morning at 8 o'clock, anyone unable to pay rent or utilities due to a loss of income related to the COVID-19 pandemic can apply for assistance in Duval County. The county has about $3 million left from the nearly $65 million that it received from the federal government. There are certain requirements, though, to be eligible. Chiquita Moore is Neighborhood's Director of Operations for the city of Jacksonville and is joining us live via Zoom to help walk us through the process. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. Good morning, Jennifer. First, I'd just like to thank the morning team for helping us share this information today, because there are still a lot of families experiencing financial challenges on the heels of the COVID pandemic. However, the city of Jacksonville is happy to celebrate that we've been able to successfully distribute nearly $63 million since March of 2021 to approximately 15,000 families. And as a result of our ability to quickly and efficiently deploy those funds, the U.S. Treasury recently allocated an additional $3 million to support our efforts to continue to assist our residents who were adversely affected by the pandemic.
Chiquita, that is wonderful. I just want to get to some of those requirements, because the income requirement can be a little complicated and it's really based on the number of people in the household. Would you explain?
Absolutely. So you guys can share the specifics that you have it in our FAQs or updated site as well. But any funds that are received will be available to Duval County renter households only to help pay for up to 12 months of arrearages and their utility costs. Now, the federal guidelines do require applicants to have an income that falls below 80% of the area income. However, priority will be given to those families that have incomes at 50% or below the area median income, have at least one or more members in their household who have been unemployed for at least 90 days or have a pending eviction.
And so, Chiquita, just to point out, because I know that those percentages are very confusing. And again, we've got all of this on our website. But basically, if a person makes between $29,000 to $47,000 a year, they could qualify. And that's just one person. That number increases based on the number of people in the household. Now, you mentioned the other requirements and the eligibility. Obviously, you have to be in Duval County. This is, a second time, essentially, that you've offered this money through the city of Jacksonville. That said, if people previously received money the first time around, can they apply again?
So actually, Jen, to be honest, this is the third time that we've been able to offer this type of assistance. The first time we opened up the application process and there were individuals who had applied, and if they have received assistance for up to 15 months, that would exhaust their ability to receive any additional funding. That also includes any funding that they may have received from Our Florida program, because essentially they're emergency dollars as well. So yes, ma'am.
So, and would you remind, how much can they receive? And is that combined with rent as well as utilities?
Yes, ma'am. It's rent and utilities. There is no cap on the amount that they can receive. Historically, the average that the families have received have been anywhere between $3,500 and $4,000.
And how is the money dispersed?
What happens, they will complete an application. It comes in, it's reviewed by our team, our internal team, as well as our external consultant that we use. It typically takes about 14 business days to successfully go through an application if everything is there. That's from review all the way up to deciding to disperse. And then, of course, there's time for them to wait on the check to be mailed to them.
Okay, and will the check be mailed to the individual person who is applying, or is that mailed? Because doesn't the landlord have to get involved and fill out some paperwork as well? Do they receive that directly?
Well, the landlord is not required on this round to have to complete anything, because initially we realized that was creating some delays. So now it's solely on the applicant to enter that information, and then the checks go directly to the landlord.
And then does someone who's applying have to have certain paperwork to sort of back up their claim or prove that they are eligible?
Exactly. Yes, ma'am. So a lot of it is self-attestation. So it's based on the honor system, but they do have to provide like a Florida ID, picture ID, driver's license, or just a state issued ID. They have to provide proof of residency, and then there's additional information that they have to provide as it relates to like how much rent they pay and how much their utilities are. So of course they would have to provide utility bills if they're asking for that assistance.
And for someone who applies and is probably very anxious to receive this money, particularly if they're facing eviction for them and their family, how will they be contacted and updated about their application status to find out whether or not they even are eligible?
Great question. So I do want to emphasize here that we are strongly encouraging individuals to go online to apply because that's the fastest way that we'll be able to review the applications. If for some reason we do have some constituents who have challenges with that, ask that they reach out to 630 City and they can help them to navigate that process. But essentially what happens once they electronically enter their application, it'll be an email that will come. The first email that they'll get after will come from a no reply. So they don't reply, it's just giving them information, letting them know that their application has been accepted. And then after that, any further communications will come from a Jacksonville ERAP web email address.
And then are there just one or two mistakes that you've found on the application process that have really slowed this or stopped it completely for those who've applied in the past?
The biggest problem that we had was just people just not completing all of the information that they needed to on the application or supplying all of the documentation. So I do strongly encourage you to pay attention to the application as you're completing it. Please make sure that you're submitting all the required documentation. We shouldn't need anything else additional. However, if there are any questions that come up, if there is any additional information requested, please make sure that you're paying attention to your email inbox so that you can, efficiently and quickly respond to those requests.
Chiquita Moore, thank you with the City of Jackson. We appreciate your time this morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And we want to point out applications will be accepted starting at 8 o'clock today. So that's in 8 minutes and will close at 5 p.m. on December 5th. You can access the application at coj.net/ERAP, but we have made it easy. We have a link inside this story on the homepage of news4jax.com. It's up right now. You can also text 211-904. That's 211-904 to access the application. And paper copies can also be picked up if you don't have access to a computer at the Ed Ball building beginning tomorrow from 9 to 5. That's where you can also drop it off. It's on the 7th floor of the Neighborhoods Department, the Housing and Community Development Division. Also, the public libraries, you can go there and access the computers to file online.